It's a blustery Wednesday afternoon.
Yes, it is. The wind is blowing.
And the snow is coming. It is a beautiful, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Oh, I'm sorry. Hanukkah for you, or whatever. Dreidel, dreidel. Long story short is, we have these discussions, and I guess I would like to clarify, because now the argument degrades into a free market.
What's a free market, Greg?
I am at a loss. Sometimes I feel like I'm having a conversation that runs up here because...
Name a free market.
There is no free market.
Exactly.
There is no free market. There's never going to be a free market. And why are we wasting our time arguing? Because it's an easy argument to say, if there's a free market, that would solve it all. That just does not equate.
That does not compute.
It doesn't compute because it takes away from the discussion of what's an intelligent way to get people to do something that you want them to do because it's beneficial for the greatest good. That's of what...
But capitalism isn't about the greatest good.
Well, it's the greatest good for the...
For the winners.
For the least... it's a pyramid scheme. And I've advocated, we've talked about
You all know what pyramid schemes are. You should by now. Bernie Madoff is like the really crude one. AIG is a little more sophisticated.
Well, to be honest, life is a pyramid scheme. If you're teaching in a school, you're in a pyramid scheme. Because if there's no students, you're not a teacher. So that's a pyramid scheme. Now, there's good ones and there's bad ones. Those that give a beneficial quid pro quo is a good pyramid scheme, i.e., you have growth, and then in the end, you don't. So we're talking about getting people to do something that's good for all, for the public good. So sometimes we think that, building roads isn't the best for all. It's the best for a chosen few.
It's good for construction companies.
And it's good for driving up home prices in those areas, but it may degrade
automobile manufacturers.
And it may degrade home prices in other areas. So we don't think that's the best use sometimes of the tax dollars. The tax dollars from these people over here that are losing their home values are financing
roads are so fundamental. They're infrastructure, right?
That's right. That's why the government has to do it. I mean, the free market advocates would say, free market everything.
Free market. Then they come in and say, give us some money for our little development. Or extend the services out to our little development, but give us a tax abatement.
Well, some of that, and I won't argue, I think some of the, as we said, who located here? Logistics? Caterpillar Logistics?
Caterpillar Logistics.
Moving food. Isn't that an interesting little thing that they've decided, they're a food logistics kind of operation.
Caterpillar? No, it's parts for Caterpillar
Logistics and whatever. But it'd be nice they'll get into moving food as well sometime.
I don't think they have anything to do with food. I think they make heavy equipment.
Heavy equipment, though, a lot of it has to do with,
Okay. Anyways.
Long story short is what we're talking about here is that we think there should be good public policy, and we're arguing about what's a good idea for the public to go for, and what we think is a bad idea.
I think we have no idea what good public policy is because we haven't seen any for so long.
Nor do we discuss it because everything's closed door back behind it.
Well, not only that, but God forbid we talk about anything in the open. And what are our goals and objectives? I've yet to hear those stated clearly. I mean, we have no metrics for what makes a good community anymore.
Well, let's talk about what the 5-year plan would be, what the 10-year plan, what do you think it looks like, and how is it beneficial for society? Now, you can talk about your incentives for walking to work or any of those kinds of things. Part of me says, I'm with some of these people, I don't really care. It's going to be forced on you anyway, so you might want to start looking at it. So my contention is if you're forward-looking...
That's why Turner's moving downtown, so he can walk to work over to the federal building.
Well, he needs to go to the federal penitentiary is where he needs to go, but that's a different
story.
We can talk about that later. I mean, Turner will be...
But walk to work. What we're saying is, you have to look at opportunity costs of everything you do.
Or the replacement costs.
Or the replacement
costs. Like cod. You always use cod as my example. Is that
cod, the fish.
Cod, the fish.
White stuff that the British love, fish and chips. That
and we fished
it out.
Not
cash on delivery.
I mean, we fished it all out. It's gone. I mean,
bye-bye.
And what we didn't realize about cod was that we used to say, oh, you could take, because you used to set up quotas and you could take this big a fish.
Right.
Not recognizing that that particular big a fish was the one that taught the younger fish how to be cod. Therefore, as you fished all those out, you decimated the stock. So, free market,
Bye-bye.
that's
Free
kind of
market
was a
doesn't
most
work.
free market kind of thing. Well, some free market advocates would say, privatize it all. So what are you saying? Are you saying that we need a one world government in order to sell the ocean and then privatize it? I don't get it. If that's what you're advocating, fine by me, and let's hear that discussion. But I will use cod as an example of what I consider a free market that ruined it all. And you know, you could say it didn't ruin it. Other fish, whatever, we can farm them. That's not the way things should work. You should be smarter than that. Free market is like thinking like yeast, in my estimation.
Like yeast?
Well, yeast will grow to the edge of the petri dish and then use all everything up and then die.
Ah.
My concern is that's what we're like, yeast.
Yeast.
I'm not a yeast. I don't want to be with the rest of you yeast.
And all this talk about free market, it's kind of fishy to me.
I agree. Are we done today on the free market?
We're done on the free
So
market.
now from now on, we're not going to talk about free market. We're going to talk about what we want to incentivize as we think the future looks like. If you don't agree with this future,
for the greater good.
argue about that.
Or stop watching.
Well, that'll be easy to do. We'll get that done. Have a good day. Hopefully that public utility will take care of your electrical outage.